What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 104 of the RUDIS Wrestling Podcast, brought to you as always by us here at RUDIS. Matt, we got all kinds of dual meets to talk about. You pretty excited to go or what? 'Cause I'm excited.
I am. I'm. Normally you ask what's going on my end, and there's plenty. This week is obviously Thanksgiving, but.
So actually next week there's going to be not much because there's not really a whole lot of wrestling this weekend.
Yeah, it really falls on Thanksgiving falls on a weird weekend in the timing of the month. Like it almost crosses over into December. But we're excited. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. This is the one time a year where we do a total sales. We're doing a big sale this weekend. We have we never do sales one time a year.
For Black Friday.
Black Friday through Cyber Monday, we're 20% off everything on the website, all products, everything included. Ooh. So I know we've been getting a lot of information, a lot of phone calls and emails about people asking if there's going to be a sale. Should they buy something now or just wait for a couple of days? Well, if you can wait, I know the holidays are pretty close, but if you can wait, there's starting, I believe, Thursday evening, there's going to be a 20% off sale. So,
okay.
Yeah. Well, so that's what's going on our end. Yeah.
Good deal. Good to know. So much wrestling. And, one of the things I want to mention, two things I just kind of up front I want to say. Number one, the Flow app makes it so easy to watch matches. Matt, I would last night we're preparing for the podcast. I'd scroll through. Oh shit, this match happened. That's good. I need to go watch that. Flip over my Flow app. You touch the Duel. The match comes up right because they put the important matches separately than the entire replay of the Duel. So man, that made my match watching time really efficient because I didn't have to go search and scroll. A lot of times they put the whole duel together. I mean, the Arizona Penn State duel, you couldn't find that one. It obviously wasn't on Flow, and you couldn't really find full matches after the fact, or at least I couldn't, and I attempted to. I watched some highlights, and that was about it.
Yeah, it was the same way. I mean, there's any more to your point. I mean, there's so much out there to watch it, so much stuff that's easily available and easily accessible. But the Penn State Arizona State stuff I kind of found on YouTube, some stuff on there.
Yeah. And the second thing I want to mention, and that's a great, I'm going to bring up the Arizona State, Penn State, and then we could probably start talking about that match by match. But wrestling has never been healthier. I think we are at the pinnacle. I don't want to say healthiest long time. I literally think we're at our pinnacle right now. And hopefully this isn't hopefully this is like a false pinnacle and we can keep moving in a positive direction. But we talked about this a couple weeks back when every duel we watched was packed. I watched Arizona State, Penn State, which, listen, I coached Arizona State. There's a lot of things going on in Phoenix. It's hard to get a crowd there. It's really hard. They packed that damn arena and they stormed the mat. Iowa State,
especially with this weekend. Yeah.
Yes. It's awesome.
I was going to say with that was really impressive because Arizona State had a huge football game the following day. So I'm sure there's a lot of people looking and focusing on that football matchup between Arizona State and Oregon the following day. But yeah, they packed in over 8,000 people at the Arizona State duel.
Correct. Yes.
Which you've got to think
8,500.
Yeah. What was it? When you were there, when you were coaching, what was the biggest duel you guys actually had? Just roughly attendance. I
want to say between 3 and 4. Between 3 and 4. It was, and a lot of them were a lot less than that. But even at Missouri, and we did a good job. We did a couple of Beauty and the Beast, and I think we got 7.5 maybe somewhere in there. But we never hit 8,500 ever, and we had and I want to say my senior year we were either number 2 or number 3 in average attendance. So, we were really high up there. We never hit those type of numbers. So, yeah. And then, Iowa State had 11.5. And so just to kind of see all this stuff, it's almost every duel you watch now feels like it's packed, feels like there's a lot of excitement. If you see one with empty stands, it's almost a rarity now rather than the rule, which I think maybe would have been the rule 15 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still split. I think from a fan-friendly perspective, obviously a dual meet, is easily consumable. It's probably 90 minutes tops we're probably looking at for a typical dual meet. So just from a fan interaction, fan engagement standpoint, I love the dual meet setting. I love the momentum it's building. And I know we've seen stats, from average attendance from each school, but it would almost be interesting to see cumulative. Yeah. What type of
Someone
audience
do some
is
work
actually
for
coming
us.
up? Yeah, come on.
Which one of our fans is gonna do they're gonna add up every single dual attendance in every single dual, the Division I that happened last year and then for the past 20 years. That would be awesome.
That'd be really great.
Okay, listen, Matt, I'm gonna make it easier. I'm not gonna do this, you're not gonna do this. I'm gonna make it easier. How about this? They've put out those top 10 attendance lists for the last however many years, right? A whole bunch. If they just take the average of the top 10, that would probably get us a pretty decent number.
I think so.
We could do that. That'd be a lot more simple.
And I know the NWCA does a lot of this data accumulation just because it arms them with certain things when they're going out and talking to administrations about the benefits of adding or growing wrestling or what wrestling is doing. But I'm sure that I might have to reach out to those guys to see
if they have a number,
what they have and see how it's actually grown. I know we could see the ESPN numbers and how they've grown every year with the NCAA tournament and the viewership at the NCAA tournament, but it would be good to see something in season, what that breakdown looks like.
Matt, we have enough damn listeners. Someone on here should be able to tell us the answer.
You would think.
Someone's going to be able to know. Tweet Matt or I the answer, please, or text us or email us or whatever you want to do. And then to mention Little Rock, first ever home duel, and they had 1,500 in attendance in their first ever home duel. So
that was a really cool. I got to see some pictures of the dual meet. They had a really cool configuration, a pretty cool setup for their first dual meet.
You like their octagon, Matt?
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how they kind of stage the seating all the way around the octagon too.
Yeah. It almost makes the square mat feel ridiculous.
It kind of seems antiquated a little bit, right?
Well, the only thing I was thinking, how are you going to roll that thing up? What was it, hexagonal or octagonal? I don't remember, 6 or 8 sides. I don't recall what it was. But at some point, it's going to be a triangle, right? I mean, the center sections will be square at the edges, but the other ones will be triangles. It's going to be a pain in the ass to roll up. It's going to be all awkward.
You would think, right?
I don't know. I never rolled up an octagon mat.
I've never seen hexagon. One either. It looked like it looked like a Dolomer where you could probably I don't know.
Coach Neil Arisman, send us a tweet. Tell us what it was like to roll that thing up. Where do you store that thing? I don't know. It looked cool. Yeah. I liked it.
But I know the traditional square mat, you're trying to protect. You're trying to create extra space, especially for the bigger guys as they go out of bounds But
it doesn't work, Matt, because the edges of the where the circle is not where it's the widest, right? But where it's closest to the boundary, they always run off there. And then the corners, you have way extra space. I actually thought, Matt, what if you just put a square? And this would be weird. This is gonna be weird, Matt. What if you put a square on the square? If you're gonna do a square, Matt, do a square effing. Well, it's not a square circle. It's just put a square on there because you can keep an equidistant boundary, right? Say 5 feet from the boundary, and you're going to gain a whole bunch of square footage that you can actually wrestle on.
Yeah, but then you're kind of establishing hard corners and hard boundaries.
So who cares?
Within that, yeah.
I mean, you might get better push-outs on the one side, but at least you're equidistant and you maximize your amount of space that you can actually wrestle in.
Yeah, good point.
Matt, we didn't even mean to. We went to talk about duels today, and you and I, we're starting a revolution on this podcast. Someone is going to do a squared square on a square mat. They're going to maximize. Matt, let me just, now we're getting really nerdy. Okay.
So why don't we have our designers actually mock up something we can put it, for the next podcast, we can throw a graphic up about what it would look like.
Well, Vinny Barber, man, send us a message. Okay, let me do this, Matt. Usually, it's a 42-foot mat, and how big is the circle? 32 feet? Is that what it is? I think that's what it is.
I believe so. Yeah, 32.
Okay, so area of a square is pi r squared or 2 pi r. Oh man, it's been so long since geography. Let me look at this. I'm gonna look this up. Area of a circle. Okay, is it 2 pi r? No, pi r squared. Okay, so we'll just go pi r squared. So that's 16 times by 16 times by pi, 3.14. Okay, so we got 800 square feet of wrestling if we have a 32-foot circle. Okay, so if you want to be 5 feet from the, for a square, how would you do this, Matt? You would just do, if it's 32 feet, you just do 32 times 32. 32 times 32, okay, divided by, we're going to gain, listen to this, we're going to gain 26% wrestling area. By my math, I'm not claiming my math is perfect. Who doesn't want to gain 26% wrestling area? 26% more wrestling is better for everybody.
Yeah, let's do it.
I sound like I'm running for president or something. Okay, I think Vinny Barber is going to mock us that up. Neil Arisman is going to tell us how rolling up a hexagonal mat is, and someone's going to text us the average attendance, hopefully at some point. All right, Penn State, Arizona State. Arizona State breaks 60-match dual win streak by Penn State. Now, Penn State's missing a few people, but I don't think that excuses everything, because here's what I think, Matt. The two big ones they're missing are 57 and 84. There's no guarantee Brady Berge beats Ja'Cory Teamer. That is it possible? Sure, but I don't think it's a guarantee. And I think he's gonna whoop up on Shakur Rashid or Creighton. I think he's gonna pin Creighton Edsall, right? Because they didn't wrestle a guy there because of skin issues. So maybe they win by a point, maybe they tie, but I mean, either way, that's Penn State winning by one or tying. I don't see a lot of other stuff changing in this duel. Do you? No,
not at all. And the fact remains, you wrestle the guys that are put out there. Penn State didn't put an 84 out there. So I hear what the Penn State people are saying, but it doesn't carry water. They weighed in Rashid. They didn't put him out there. They had a skin issue.
I didn't hear they weighed in Rashid.
I heard they weighed him in.
Oh, really? If I saw the Penn State forums.
Now, maybe that was just the plan, just to get him a weigh-in, so he's down to scratch and he's ready to go, and he hasn't done that for quite a while. But I believe...
Hey, what is his injury, Matt? What's his injury?
I believe he's recovering from an ACL.
Oh, ACL. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's probably a case where they don't want to put him out there if they don't have to. Although I don't think, based upon how Valencia wrestles, I think Shakur puts himself in more danger than his opponents put him in.
Yeah.
So maybe the coaches were thinking they need to protect Rashid from himself.
Yeah.
In the heat of a battle. But regardless, whether it's here nor there, you wrestle the guys that are put out there. We kind of said this last week, kind of to put the Olympic red shirt conversation to rest. The team you have and the team you put out there is the team you wrestle with that given day. They put those 9 guys out there. Arizona State got the job done, and all credit to them, snapping an amazing almost 5-year win streak. 60 matches, that's huge.
What was their last loss?
It was in 2015.
Was it Ohio State or was it Iowa? I think it was Ohio State.
I thought it was Ohio State. I'm pretty sure it was Ohio State.
Okay, I'll Google it real fast. Okay, I'm looking at. So let's just run this one through match by match. I think. Damn it, this article doesn't tell me. Let's run this through match by match. And again, like I said, I don't think a huge amount has changed. So
no.
Brandon Courtney beats up. Oh my God, Brody Teske pretty easily. Clean. RBY. For what's worth, that was probably the most competitive match of the night. He won 7-6. It was close. Josh Kramer got a takedown in the third period. RBY, this is, and the thing about this Penn State lineup, where what we're seeing here that doesn't mesh with what we've seen historically. And, obviously Kale could definitely change this around. And I'm not taking digs at the guy who's the best coach in collegiate wrestling. He won damn 9 NCAA titles, Matt. But Nick Lee didn't make the jump after his first year that other guys had. RBY doesn't really look like he's making the jump that other guys had. I mean, what you had historically at Penn State is guys, some guys came in were superstars immediately. Say Mark Hall, right? Was NCAA's true freshman. Some guys struggled, like a Bo Nickel, right? He had a kind of rough redshirt year. And then the next year, he makes a huge jump to be way better. And we've seen that with a few of the other guys in their lineup. And we're not seeing that with this next generation. Say a Michael Beard, he beat Bullsack last year and then he loses to him this year. So for whatever reason, these guys aren't making the same jumps that some of the previous generation had.
Well, I think, I don't want to split hairs here. I do agree, but it's almost like a lot of these guys, and I guess we could break it down almost, for lack of a better term, generationally. Like we went through the first wave, the first generation of Cale coached athletes with Ruth and Taylor.
David Taylor made a gigantic jump between his redshirt year and his next year.
And Ed Ruth did the same. And then the next generation, you're looking at Rutherford, Nolf, Nickel, right? Where they don't just make leaps, they almost make transcendent leaps to where they're considered, they end up in the conversation of greatest of all time at their weight class. And some of these guys, greatest of all time, period. So I think
transcendent leaps.
Right. So I think we're a bit spoiled that, not only did these guys leap to become national champions, they did it in a transcendent way.
If you set an expectation, then you can't get mad when we have an expectation. You're the one who set the damn expectation.
Right,
Cale,
right. And
Cale, I'm sorry you're so good at coaching, but this next generation ain't living up to your previous couple.
Yeah, so we're looking at a guy like Vincenzo Joseph. He's only going for his third national title, but the way in which he's going about it,
he's not bonusing anybody almost.
Right. Nick Lee is a two-time All-American, but he's not, pinning and teching his way through the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, we are splitting hairs. These guys are developing. They are getting better. They are growing. Just we aren't seeing, from this small sample size yet in the first 4 weeks of the season, have these guys made, that next big leap.
Brady Bergey's another one. Jared Verclairen's another one. Bergey and Verclairen haven't made very much progress at all, right? They were both had high level success. I believe Verclairen was a cadet world champion and Bergey was a junior world team member. That's two more, right? So we're kind of seeing it for whatever reason, kind of across the board. And yes, was the previous expectation almost unsustainable? Sure. I mean, we're talking Penn State had 5 all-timers. I mean, if we put the top 30 wrestlers of NCAA, just NCAA folk style wrestling, forget everything else. If we put the top 30 up there, Penn State's got 5 of them in the last decade. We'll go Ruth, Taylor, Zane, Nolf, Nickel, right? Those are 5 of the top 30 in the last 10 years they've had. If we go top 30, it's unreasonable.
Which is crazy. Like, not only, I think most programs would feel they're fortunate if they have 5 guys in the span of 10 years that are all-time program greats. We're talking about all-time wrestling greats. That's what blows your mind. That we see these guys and what they're doing, and like typically I'm like, wow, man, this guy's the best in Penn State history. I'm like, no, this guy is the best in wrestling history at this weight class, which is it's crazy to think about. But and not to, again, I don't want to take any credit away from Arizona State, but part of me believes that within the Penn State coaching staff, they always want to win, but they might think this is almost a blessing in disguise. Like they needed.
I don't know about that. That's never been their attitude before. They've always just won, and just keep winning. They won 60 in a row, Matt.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like now the onus is on these guys. Like, hey, it's clearly the past is in the past now. Like we've been beaten. We haven't lost in 5 years in a dual meet. We've accumulated a bunch more team titles, but now, hey, you guys have to define your own path. You have to define what this team is going to be about. What we've had in the past is gone. And if there's any lingering thought about what we had previously and what we are dealing with now and the reality of the situation that Penn State's in now, it might have taken this loss to get these guys that are on the fence like, hey, we need you to step up another level. What you're doing is good. Winning's not good enough. And and now the responsibility is on you because we don't have Nolf, we don't have Nickel. You can't rely on these automatic guys. And in the back of your mind with some of your younger guys, because I'm sure it was the case with you, Ben, at Missouri, that people automatically assumed guys on your team were like, hey, if I step up, great, but I know Ben's going to step up and get a fall. So I know I can rely on him.
Well,
now you go away. It's gonna.
And there's a leadership factor too. And so,
right.
Nolf and Nickel, I'm sure they're still around, but they're focused on themselves. They're not, right? They might be here and there and around. David Taylor, same thing. And so now and that's where this next generation of leader, right? Right now your leaders would be Cassard, Hall, Joseph is what I assume by looking at the team. So it's on them to get it going. Okay, Matt,
and I think they're going to be forced. They're going to have to be forced. Maybe they're going to have to figure out how to win a different way, Ben. And I think that might be another sign of the greatness of a coaching staff and a team, that they figure out the pieces they have, the strengths and the weaknesses, and they formulate a game plan like, hey, this is what we have. We've got to figure out a way, much like what the New England Patriots are doing.
God, dude,
I mean, they're winning on their defense. I mean, I heard a stat coming into work today. I was listening to ESPN, and they have won 10 consecutive games for 17 straight years. That blows your mind.
Wow.
They've won 10 plus games.
It's got to be pretty rare.
Yeah, the record before was San Francisco in the 80s. That was 16 straight years. But think about that, Ben. But the way all I'm saying is the way the Patriots are winning this year is on the back of their defense, where traditionally they have Tom Brady in their offense and Bill Belichick coaching.
I don't give a damn about no football, Matt. I don't care.
Okay, but all I'm saying, I don't even like football. I'm just trying to give an analogy. Like, we've seen these dominant Penn State teams that just bonus point the heck out of you, and they just storm their way to a national title. This actually might be a great narrative for the sport of wrestling. Like, how are these guys going to figure out a way to win? Can they win?
Yeah.
Will they win?
Yeah.
Because they don't have the arsenal and these huge weapons at their disposal to bonus
I was
point.
really good.
Yeah, they are.
I was really good. And I don't. We're like only 2 weights into Penn State, so I don't want to Penn State, Arizona State. I don't want to skip over. I looked really good yesterday. Okay, let's keep going. Penn State. So then we got Nick Lee looks great, but that's probably Arizona State's worst wrestler. Again at 49, Verclearen struggling. Josh Kramer wins that match. 57. Bo Piper, a guy who had decent success, made the scuffle finals. Teamer looks good against him, and then. So I'm kind of rushing through this, but there's, in my opinion, not a lot to talk about there.
No.
Vincenzo over Shields, something we've seen before, kind of the same manner, controlling but not dominant. Mark Hall over Anthony Valencia. Zahid gets the forfeit. Okay, here's the one I want to talk about. Because this guy took 30 NCAAs, and there was a whole lot of expectation that he's going to go to Penn State and get better. And Matt, we've talked about this before. Kyle Connell did not look good. He actually looked kind of bad. And I know that there was a lot of expectation around, oh my gosh, what's Arizona State's 97-pounder? I'm blanking on his name. He's from Chicago.
Norfleet.
Kendall Norfleet. Cordell.
Yep.
He's in Chicago, so I've seen him in high school. But I know there's a lot of expectation around it, but he hadn't produced to this point. But he kicked Kyle Connell's butt. I mean, it wasn't competitive. He whooped him. 5 takedowns, something like that.
Am I the only one that has realistic expectations about Connell?
Well, the guy pinned Colin Moore twice and took third at the NCAAs, and then he goes to the best program in college wrestling. You think, okay, there's going to be something that happens here. I mean, maybe, okay, so Matt, even if it wasn't, okay, that season they took third wasn't a good season. Then he takes third at the NCAAs. Okay, maybe it's not one of those or the other one of those, but maybe it's somewhere in the middle. And what we're seeing now is it's more like the first version where he wasn't very good. That's like what we're seeing.
Yeah, and that's the guy that he's consistently been. I'm not talking about the guy that he was one weekend 2 years ago. I'm talking about the body of work of what
1 weekend 2 years ago. It's only the most important weekend. All they say is that March counts.
Yeah, and I'm not discrediting it, the guy, but had he ever had a great regular season before? Maybe he's just a great March performer. He hadn't. So my thing is, like, why are we putting this guy on a pedestal where he'd only attained that position once, one weekend in 5 years of his wrestling career? We'd never seen this happen before. We only saw it on one weekend. And then, okay, he goes to Penn State. Great. But that doesn't automatically elevate who he is, especially he's been out all year. He had surgery. How much has he actually been in Penn State's room?
But
in
other
the past
people
year and a
going to
half?
Penn State has elevated them. Kyle Connell, it's not elevated him at all. Other people have been elevated by Penn State.
Maybe he didn't have room to elevate. That's my thing. Like, elevate to where? Elevate to what? Elevate to who? I don't know.
Elevate to who? What does that even mean?
Right?
Oh, God. I was actually, Matt, I was trying to follow. I wasn't watching. I was following. I did a wrestling camp in Minnesota last weekend. I was trying to follow the Penn State Arizona State dual meet in the hot tub, right? There's this one group of people in the hot tub. This other dude comes in with a lady friend or something, but they weren't talking. Well, this obnoxious guy, he might be drunk. I don't know. He's trying to talk to everybody, right? And I'm sitting over here minding my own business, trying to follow this dual meet. And the guy starts badgering me that I'm not like conversating with everyone. So I tried to kind of appease him a little bit. And then after a while, I'm just like, and it's kind of reminded me, this is what reminded me. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about over there. I'm trying to do my own thing over here. And I just, can you mind your own business? Is that possible? And then he shut up. So then I got to follow the rest of Penn State. I had to get kind of obnoxious because this guy, I tried to appease him, but he wouldn't leave me alone. And finally I'd be like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to do my own thing over here. I didn't want to say I'm trying to watch Arizona State, Penn State because they probably would have asked about that. I didn't want to get into what I was trying to do, but I was trying. It was the Tanner Hall Cassard match. I'm trying to follow it on Twitter. This guy's badgering me. Leave me alone. So, man, I don't know. Elevate to who? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, is it almost a shame on us situation believing that Kyle Connell is something that he really isn't?
Well, okay, but here's the thing, Matt. Here's the thing. Let me get, and I've said this to other people. I don't think I've ever said this to you. So let me hear what your explanation is. Matt, it's not like you could just win one match and take third place at the NCAA tournament. I mean, I cannot name another person. I could name a person maybe got lucky. They snuck into 8th place or 7th place or maybe somewhere around there. But Matt, you can't name anyone you don't get lucky and win 6 matches. I mean, to literally take third place at the NCAA championships, you need to win 6 matches. You are 6-1 for the weekend, which means you beat 6 out of the nation's top 32 competitors, including he beat the number 2 guy, or was Kyle Moore was number 1 that year. I don't remember what. Twice. He beat him twice, right? So it's not like you just got lucky and won a match or maybe 2 matches, snuck in somewhere, and we're all American. You took 3rd in the country. You beat 6 dudes over the course of 3 days. So that's where I'm like, I see your point about him having a bad season, but then, I mean, Matt, who else has snuck into a 3rd place spot? You don't sneak into 3rd place. Who's done that?
No, you don't. I mean, you do have to earn that, especially coming back in the back.
But come on. You need to defend yourself right now because you said maybe that we were over expecting out of Kyle. So how do you explain him being that good for that long, for 3 days, 6 matches?
Okay, number one, I think there's an element to like in poker or in where you get a heater.
Oh,
I think there's
he got a heater.
I think there's definitely an element of momentum that when you establish momentum.
But who else has done it? Who else has done that?
You've got me there. I've got to look it up.
I can't name anybody.
I can think of some guys that came all the way back after losing their first round match, coming all the way back and getting 3rd. But of those guys, Ben, all of those guys
to be really good.
They were seeded. Most of the guys that I can think of that lost early in the tournament came all the way back and got 3rd. They were all highly seeded.
But I can think of someone here, Matt. I'll name one for you. J.D. Bergman, for example, had not so great of a freshman season, lost a handful of matches, loses first round of NCAAs, and I don't remember what seed he was, but it wasn't super high. Then he comes back, wins, goes all the way to 3rd place, but then he was good from then on. It wasn't like he had that great weekend, then he went back to not being that good. Like, once J.D. Bergman did that, then J.D. Bergman was really good every other year. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's what we generally see. So for someone to do that and then come back, it's like, whoa. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with it.
And I mean, I would break down, and Connell beat Colin Moore twice at the NCAA tournament, but I think there's the Colin Moore that we're seeing now is much more mature, much more experienced.
But wasn't he the number 1 seed that year, or am I messing this up?
One or two. He was up there. But I guess what I would say is, like, earlier on in his career, and we saw this last year when he tried to challenge.
Yeah, sure.
when he tried to challenge Bo Nickel. Like, hey, that's not a guy you want to challenge. And he challenged Connell in some big areas and ended up getting put on his back several times.
Yes.
All I'm saying, like, yes, is I think there's some indicators why Connell got on momentum, but he earned his victories. He won. He got third. I'm just saying.
It's 2018. Damn it! I got the 2017 NCAA bracket up, and in 2018, I'm an idiot. I'm going to search everyone he beat now.
Yeah, I would have to go through. I can't remember.
I got it. Give me 10 seconds. I got it. It was in Cleveland. I couldn't remember that either. Okay. All right. I'm 5 seconds away, Matt. All right, here we go. Kyle Canal. Colin Moore was the number 1 seed. I was correct on this. So Kyle Canal beats. Oh, dude, his tournament was insane, Matt. 5-0 over number 9 Preston Weigel. 8-2 over number 8 Nate Rodert. Pins number 1 Colin Moore. Okay, then he loses to Mike Macchiavello. Then he comes back on the backside. He pins Jacob Holzschlag, All-American, and he beats Colin Moore. So he essentially he had 5. It was 5-1, not 6-1. That was my mistake. But he beat 5 guys who were either ranked in the top 10 or All-Americans in one weekend. That's ridiculous.
That's impressive. That's impressive. You have to give it to the guy.
Yes. For real. It's crazy. Okay, we got to get off Kyle Connell. We got more to talk about.
But again, to your point, like,
every time.
I mean, it was a huge upset by Arizona State, but nothing that out of the norm, really. When you look at it, I mean,
let's talk about heavyweight though, because this is when the guy in the hot tub started to piss me off. Okay, heavyweight, Matt. How about this though? FRL was talking about how Tanner Hall had never been bonused in college wrestling, I believe, and he gets put to his back immediately. Not immediately, very, very close to immediately in the match. So he's down 6-0. That double leg was freaking impressive how fast Kassar snatched him up also. 6-0 plus essentially riding time. So it's essentially 7-0 at this point, Matt. I mean, and then somehow Tanner Hall claws his way back and only loses 9-5. That's freaking impressive for me. Like, holy crap. Good job, Tanner Hall. You were down 7-0 to the national champion. You clawed your way back and made it 9-5 to win the dual meet for your team.
It really is, because in the heat of the moment, that's probably what Arizona State's trying to figure out. What's the criteria look like if we give up bonus? If we give up a major here, we're tied up 19-19. Where's the criteria fall? And then you're going through. I've been in these situations before where you're talking to the guys on your bench, like, hey, what's criteria look like? We know we're a 5-5 split here. If we lose this match, we're a 5-5 split. Now we go into bonus points and then most points scored.
It's match. I believe it's match wins first.
Match wins first, which is 5-5.
Oh, you said that. I'm an idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess
it's bonus, then pins, maybe, then something else. I don't know.
Right. So I'm going through there, and it ended up being, since Arizona State got the forfeit at 184, that does count as a pin, as a true 6-point win.
Yeah.
So they did win on the second. They would have won on second criteria, even if they gave up a major. But I guarantee you, Tanner Hall probably didn't know that, or they probably didn't get in his ear right before the match, like,
no,
do anything. Hey, do anything, but don't get teched or don't get pinned, and we're in good shape. We're still going to win.
Yes.
So you can get majored. No, I mean, Tanner Hall is ranked 5th in the country. He's trying to win this match. And to your point, getting down, digging yourself into a hole where you're down 7-0. This guy's trying to say, hey, I've got to establish moving forward what this match is going to look like. If I'm just going to turn tail and let this guy run through me, I'm just going to give him momentum the next time I see him in March or wherever that time may be. But you got to give Hall credit for digging in, staying his ground, and fighting back here.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Because for all intents and purposes, he's like, hey, this match looks like it might be out of reach, but I can't give up bonus points because
there's no way Tanner Hall knows that going on the mat. I can't imagine. Right? Don't get pinned or teched. So he clawed his way back to a decision. I thought it was fantastic. And the last thing I loved about this duel was and I tweeted about this, the freaking crowd stormed the mat. It was fantastic. I remember some of my greatest memories in college. A couple of times I had the most fun were when I stormed the football field, and we had a couple good seasons there at Missouri. And stormed the field. It's just such a fun thing. And so, hey man, I guarantee all those 8,500 people weren't wrestling fans. Oh, I know one of them wasn't, because my father-in-law went to the Duel because he got a ticket from somewhere with his friend. Neither one of them were wrestling fans, right? But when you're in an environment like that and it's fired up and everyone's on fire, and then they storm, like, that is just a great experience. You're going to go back for the next damn match, right? Or you're excited to go back.
That's what we want, and I think that's what people promote about the Duel means, like that word of mouth, like within the student body at Arizona State, like, hey, if you want a pregame before your parties on Friday night, hey, there's no better environment than going to an Arizona State wrestling match, right?
You're being a bad influence on the college age kids right now.
Like they're not doing that in Tempe, Arizona, right? That's a foreign concept out in Arizona on the weekend.
You are a terrible influence right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go. Let's talk about this guy's performance. We're off Arizona State, Penn State. We talked about for forever now. How about your guy? I think you like this guy. Well, you're going to dislike part of it. But hey, Trent Hidlay, in one day, this is crazy. And they're both away matches. They were not both home matches. They went to one place. They wrestled a match. They went to the other place. They wrestled another match. Trent Hidlay beats Louis Duprez and Ben Darmstadt, the number 2 and 3 ranked guys in the same day. You and I both had identified Hidlay as a guy. Hey, this guy, he's ranked like 14 or whatever because he's a freshman. He can move up. He can move way up, and he does it. In one day, he beats Louis Duprez and Ben Darmstadt. I mean, super impressive, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is hands down the performance of the weekend. Not only that he beat 2 highly ranked guys, but doing it in the span of a 6-hour window, basically. Really, impressive. Really impressive. I do love I do love this guy. I love his potential. Now, am I excited to see that he beat Lou Dupre? I've got a personal bias there. No, I'm not excited to see that. But to your point, he definitely positioned himself. I mean, what better way to firmly entrench yourself top 5 in the country? Because that's where he's got to be, right? After this, He's got to be top 5.
I'd put him number 2. Because then you the other big, and I'm sure we'll talk about this duel next time. We're not going to do it this time. The other big match at this weight class, Taylor Luhan smashed Taylor Vens. And we saw Vens almost beat Zahid. I want to say Luhan had like 5 takedowns and back points maybe. He beat him 15-6. I believe he had 3 takedowns in the third period alone. So, obviously Darmstadt's going to move down. Hidlay's Duprez is going to move down. Vens is going to move down because he just got his butt kicked. So, I mean, number 2, in my opinion, would have to be Luhan or Hidlay, right? Am I forgetting something here?
No, I mean, I would think it's probably interchangeable, 2 or 3 at this point. But let me go to the narrative that we've been kind of talking about at 184, it just seems like there's the cast of characters beyond number 1, beyond Valencia. It's like remains to be seen of like what that pecking order looks like. 2 down to what, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. Like it seems I think,
Luhan and Hidlay are going 2-3, man. I'm looking at the ranks right now. I think that's definitely
they have to. What other logical choice could you present based upon what we've seen?
Yes.
The first 3 weeks and this weekend. I think, especially what they established with once Dupre beat Darmstadt at the Binghamton Open, that catapulted him up to number 2. Yeah. So based upon this performance and with the fallout from some of the other results,
and Vens
it seems like the only logical thing to put them at 2 and 3.
Okay. Yeah. So, hey, one question. I want to ask you a question about. Well, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Get your take on them. So, number 1 is in the overtime of the Duprez. It's Dupre, right? Am I messing around?
Dupre.
Yeah. Dupre and Hidlay match. So in the double overtime period, both of them did it, right? They get caught in an ankle and they say, well, I'm not just going to let it go, right? I'm going to take the stall warning. And I thought the rule was when they call the stall warning, they just let you keep wrestling and they can hit you for stalling again, right? For example, if you're up on your feet, you're rear standing, you get called for stalling. You're still, the onus is on you still to return the man to the mat. Otherwise, you can get called for stalling again. Well,
correct.
Hidlay gets called. The ref puts up his stalling hand. And he's kind of holding his wrist. You can't see me right now, Matt, but the camera can. And man, they let him sit there for, I think it was another 8 or 9 seconds, and then they stopped it. He had not moved up at all, and then the same thing happened the opposite way, but it was maybe 4 seconds. It was definitely a shorter period of time. What is the exact protocol on that? Because I thought it was you could get called for stalling again. What's the protocol?
Now, we need clarification. Again, I don't know if they've tweaked that or modified the rule, but I believe it's a continuation of the wrestling action. You count to 5 and you continue the wrestling action. And so I believe that you can continue to get that second 5 count that would lead to another stall call.
Well, that's
my understanding too, but that's not how it was called. Now, how often does this situation really occur? And maybe that's just kind of threw the ref off, because I'm watching it. I'm like, hey, you let it continue to grow. He hasn't changed his position.
Yeah.
You should right away
hit him again.
Go right back into the 5 count.
Like, well, or the other thing there, Matt, is that you can't waste so much time. You wasted so much. I mean, you let Hidlay sit on the ankle for another 8 or 9 seconds. So, it's only a 30-second period, and obviously 4 or 5 seconds the opposite way, but it's only a 30-second period. So say you put your hand up for stalling with 19 seconds left. And I do remember actually in the period where Duprez is on the bottom, they stopped the match with 11 seconds left. Okay. So then you only have 11 seconds left to escape, and it's not like the stall warning gets it done for you, right? You need another stalling to get a point.
Right.
So you're really harming the situation. So, I mean, I could see it needs either here for me. What makes sense is either you call stalling and you stop right away, so the guy has maximum amount of time then to continue, or right, you call it and then you can call it again. But calling it, then waiting, then stopping, that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean,
no, I'm with you. I mean, they should have given that verbal warning to Hidlay, like stalling 1 point, and then give that verbal 1. You start that count again, so he has that verbal warning in his head, like, I have to adjust, I have to come off this. You don't just let it go and stop the match, because
well, we're not sure. We need a referee. Now, we need so many people to tweet us. We need a referee.
We got so many questions. Questions.
We need a referee to tweet us some clarification, because that was sketchy to me. Okay, second thing, since neither you and I do not know the answer to that. The second thing I want to ask you, someone very in the know, and I won't give you my take first. They said, yeah, but Hidlay is going to be so scouted now because essentially on his feet, he has the one underhook drives the leg, and he kind of has a series off of that one position. He's going to get scouted. He's going to get found out. How do you feel about that statement?
Well, I think that's the process with anybody. Once they're more on the national radar than other people are, there's more attention that's going to get paid, and then that's the process of evolving. Like, okay, people are aware of what your skill set are. What do we have to do to keep giving them different looks? Obviously, you're not going to go away from your best techniques.
Correct.
But you've got to give people other things to think about, because if this is all you have, and I think he's got more that he can show, but why not keep going back to the same thing over and over again? Show that you can stop it, right?
Yeah.
Keep going to the well till they show that you can stop it, and then adapt. You should probably be working on that now. But no, I don't think this guy is a one trick. I don't think he's a one trick pony.
Well,
I think he's got way more than this.
Let me tell you what I had to. Normally, I would think I would say something about, yes, I do agree. The one thing with Hidlay that I saw here, number one, he's very disciplined in his positioning, right? So it's not like he's got a huge vulnerability to giving stuff up. So you're going to have to stay in there and be in a dogfight with them. And then number two, one of my coaches told me this one time, Sean Schultz told me back in the day, he's like, if you're watching film and you can't really understand why they're so good, they're probably really, really freaking strong. And so, I've always tried to account for that when I'm watching film. And obviously, he looks strong. Most wrestlers look fairly strong, right? Besides, say, Ben Darmstadt. Sorry, Ben. But I bet he's like really insanely powerful, would be my guess.
Which it must be, because I know for a fact Duprez is super, super strong. I mean, he's crazy strong, and he really couldn't get any of his offense going. And he's got good offensive attacks. Yeah, I mean, he's got good attacks to both sides, but he couldn't get anything. really going. There was
that speaks to Hidlay being both really strong and really disciplined in his positioning, which, like I felt like Darmstadt and Duprez between the both of them didn't really get him out of position all that much.
And if you've got those two things, Ben, I mean,
that's hard. It's hard to beat.
At the college level, you don't have to have much more if you've got those two things in your arsenal.
And the other thing is you have to get bottom, and Hidlay did get ridden for a little bit by Ben Darmstadt, but Ben Darmstadt's one of the best top wrestlers in the country.
Right, and Dupre grinds people up. Look what he did to Darmstadt a couple weeks ago. He gave up a bunch of riding time, but he eliminated riding time too. So he rode him for more than 2 minutes.
True.
So Dupre is good on top. I don't think that's one of his strengths, but he knows how to ride guys. I mean, grind them up on top. So,
good point.
Is he scoring a lot of points? I don't think he's ever going to score a ton of points. But to your point, when you've got strength and positional discipline, man, that's a good recipe. I would take those two things.
Yeah, and the way he goes into his underhook is fair. It's kind of Iranian. Like you don't see, like he almost like lunges into it, if you will. Like it's really different than what most people do. So I think that's going to continue to throw people off because you can watch and you can see what's happening. But unless you have someone, this is Anthony Robles, right? But unless you have someone who can actually do that to you, it's hard to stop. So, for example, Anthony Robles, and this is, I get really annoyed because people say he got so good at it. People say he had advantage with one leg, which is like the stupidest thing ever. But Anthony started doing a few different moves as a senior. That he had 9 losses as a junior, and Anthony kind of just was really smart, and he created a few different moves, a few unique ways to getting on top, right? Because once he got on top, he was money. But he had he really struggled to get on top. Well, that was when he lost matches junior. And so he's made up a few moves his senior year that he started doing that other people didn't really do. And so it's like, okay, you can see what he's doing, but unless you have someone to do that to you at the speed and power he's doing that to you, it's going to be hard to stop. Just because you know it, it's not enough.
Yeah. And I think that's what's really impressive about Hidlay is the maturity that he has with his execution at such a young age. Like he didn't deviate. I mean, against either one of these guys, two of the best guys in the country, he didn't deviate in his execution. He was very mature, very disciplined. And you don't find that, especially when you put him in pressure, big time situations. You usually see a chink or a crack here that I didn't see many chinks at all or openings.
That would also speak to that we talked about, things that make you win. We talked about positional discipline. We talked about strength. And so then I don't know, you could say it's many different ways, right? But mental fortitude, right? Staying in the fight, not getting disappointed in yourself, not giving up on yourself. But and he really showed all those things in that. So man, very, very impressed with Trent Hidlay. Okay, tomorrow when we come back, Matt, we are going to be talking about Iowa State, that's going to be huge. Nebraska, UNI was a whole bunch of fun. Wisconsin, Utah Valley was a good dual meet. Princeton beat Lehigh, and Pitt beat Lehigh. So bad weekend for Lehigh. But I would assume that Iowa State and UNI and Nebraska would take up most of our time. So that's it for us today, and we will talk to you again soon.
Sounds good, Ben. We'll see you.
Peace.